Kelvin's royal ascent. A violent tremor shook the foundations of Buckingham Palace, jolting Queen Kelvin from a peaceful sleep. Her husband, Starship Captain David, was already out of bed, his silhouette framed by the balcony doors. "Kelvin, look," he said, his voice tight with alarm. Outside, a fleet of golden, otherworldly ships hovered in the pre-dawn sky, defending a strange, colossal machine. Streaks of fire from Royal Air Force jets glanced harmlessly off their hulls. "Anunnaki," David hissed, rushing back inside. As his royal dressers hurried in with a pristine, cobalt blue uniform, he tapped his comms unit. "David to orbital station. What's going on?" The frantic voice of Squadron Leader Zach crackled back. "Captain, sir. Thousands of them. They came from nowhere." David's face was a mask of determination. "Right. Teleport me to the Dominion Mark II, now." David turned to Kelvin, his urgent mission momentarily forgotten. He pulled her into a firm embrace and gave her a quick, passionate kiss. "I'll be back," he promised. As their lips parted, David dissolved in a cascade of shimmering blue light. Without a moment's hesitation, Kelvin, the Lavender Witch Queen, swept from the royal bedroom, her nightwear flowing behind her as she ran through the hallowed halls of the palace. She burst out into the stately palace gardens, where a massive, elegant starship of amethyst and emerald, plated with diamond armor, rested on the lawn, a gift from her husband. The Hecate. Kelvin waved a hand, and in a poof of lavender smoke, her lacy nightgown was replaced by a seductive yet commanding lavender witch's outfit. "Your Majesty," a voice called. Her lady-in-waiting, Madison, came running over, already dressed in a smart lavender captain's uniform. "Allow me to fly." Inside the Hecate, the posh amethyst landing bay gave way to an elegant circular command deck, glowing with a soft lavender light. As Kelvin and Madison took their seats, the Queen noticed a small, velvet-lined box on her console. Inside was a gorgeous bracelet of amethyst, emerald, and diamond, with a simple note, "Wear this, Nagus D." Kelvin smiled, fastening the cool metal around her wrist. "Madison," she said, her voice now steel, "take us up." The speed was breathtaking. The palace gardens vanished in a blur as Madison expertly piloted the ship into the sky. "Scan for the Anunnaki fleet," Kelvin ordered. Madison's fingers danced over the emerald console. "Ma'am, they're concentrated at London Bridge," she reported. "It appears there, harvesting the planet's core." Enraged, Kelvin's jaw tightened. "Take us there. Maximum speed." As the Hecate arrived, the view screen showed a horrifying sight. A huge, golden machine drilled deep into the bed of the River Thames, siphoning molten energy. 2 Anunnaki ships stood guard. "They're bleeding my world for gold," Kelvin whispered, her eyes beginning to glow with purple energy. "Not my world, you monsters!" She slammed her fist on the console. "Fire the lavender cannons!" Beams of pure lavender energy shot from the Hecate, but the 2 Anunnaki ships intercepted them with golden shields. "Launch a missile," Kelvin commanded. A single lavender projectile flew true, melting one of the enemy ships into slag. Just then, a fleet of RAF fighters, now equipped with Starship-grade photon cannons, swooped in, destroying the second ship and focusing their fire on the golden drill. But its shields held firm. "It's not enough," Kelvin said, her voice dangerously calm. "Madison, land us as close as you can." Once the ship was down, Kelvin strode from the landing ramp. "We do this my way." She began to float into the air, enveloped in an intense lavender aura. Raising her hands, she summoned a storm of crackling lavender lightning, which slammed into the machine, causing its shields to flicker and die. With a final, guttural scream of effort, Kelvin unleashed her full power. She used her magic to telekinetically rip the machine from the ground, tearing it apart piece by piece. Before the golden components could reform, she fired a huge, sustained beam of lavender fire from her hands. melting the metal into a harmless glowing pool. The battle was won. The triumphant smiles faded from their faces. Before Madison could turn the Hecate for home, a shadow fell over London. A colossal golden vessel, a city in the sky, descended through the clouds, dwarfing the Shard. The drill had been a mere probe. This was the true invasion. Hatches slid open along the mothership's golden hull, unleashing a torrent of smaller, insect-like fighters. The RAF jets, caught in their victory lap, were swarmed. Explosions blossomed across the sky as several pilots were overwhelmed before they could react. All RAF wings scatter and re-engage. Evasive maneuvers. Squadron leader Zach's voice yelled over the comms, filled with static and panic. "They're tearing them apart," Madison yelled, banking the Hecate so hard that Kelvin had to brace herself. Golden energy bolts seared past their cockpit. "Hold on, Your Majesty." Kelvin gripped her console. "Don't just hold on, Madison. Fight back. Target their lead fighters. Give our pilots some room to breathe." The Hecate's lavender cannons pulsed, vaporizing 3 Anunnaki fighters in a single volley. The move bought the RAF precious seconds. "This is Squadron Leader Zach," his voice crackled, calmer now. "To the lavender ship, thanks for the assist. We'll draw their fire. Concentrate on the big one." Kelvin nodded. "Acknowledged, Squadron Leader. Give them hell." But for every fighter they destroyed, 3 more took its place. They were a hydra, a swarm of golden death. "Their numbers are too great," Kelvin said, her voice low. "We can't win a battle of attrition." Her eyes fell upon the bracelet David had given her. An idea, terrible and brilliant, began to form. "Madison, get us above the main swarm. I'm ending this." Madison didn't question the order. She pulled the Hecate into a steep, gut-wrenching climb, dodging and weaving through a curtain of enemy fire. The diamond-plated hull groaned in protest as several shots struck home. On the command deck, Kelvin closed her eyes, ignoring the chaos. She reached out, not with her hands, but with her mind. The amethyst bracelet flared with blinding light. Kelvin threw her head back and unleashed a silent, psychic scream that washed over the battlefield. A wave of pure lavender energy, invisible but overwhelming, pulsed from the Hecate. Below, the Anunnaki fighters faltered. Their engines died, their lights flickered out, and they began to fall from the sky by the hundreds, their pilots incapacitated by the sheer force of her will. The mothership had taken notice. A vast cannon, large enough to be a building itself, extended from its belly and began to glow with terrifying intensity. "Majesty, we have to move," Madison screamed. But it was too late. A beam of solid golden energy, as wide as the Thames, erupted from the cannon and engulfed the Hecate. The world became a symphony of screaming metal and shattering crystal. The Hecate's diamond armor held, but barely. The ship was sent tumbling through the air, its systems failing. On the command deck, smoke and the smell of ozone filled the air. Kelvin was thrown against a bulkhead, her head striking the hard emerald surface. Her vision swam with stars. Through the haze of pain, Kelvin pushed herself up. The view screen was cracked, but she could still see the battle. The RAF was being systematically annihilated. Her psychic attack had only bought them moments. Fury burned away her pain. She would not let her people die. "Madison," she rasped, her voice like iron, "get me on that ship." "Your Majesty, it's suicide," Madison protested, her face pale with fear. "It's war," Kelvin countered. Do it. With a grim nod, Madison wrestled with the controls of the dying ship. She sent the Hecate into a desperate dive. A wounded bird of prey, aiming for the heart of the beast, they skimmed along the mothership's hull, a tiny lavender gnat against a golden god, dodging point defense cannons by mere inches. There, Kelvin pointed to a recessed maintenance hatch. She gathered her power, her hands crackling with lavender lightning, and blasted the hatch clean off its moorings. An alarm klaxoned from within the enemy ship. Go, Kelvin ordered Madison. Get the Hecate clear and help the RAF. Without waiting for a reply, she took a running leap, flying through the void and into the breach. She landed hard on a cold, golden deck. The air was sterile and humming with power. Down a long, cavernous corridor, figures were approaching. Anunnaki warriors, 7 feet tall in ornate golden armor, carrying crackling energy pikes. They had no faces, only smooth golden masks. Kelvin's hands ignited with lavender fire. Come on, then, she snarled. The battle was brutal and swift. She was a whirlwind of destruction, a witch queen in her righteous fury. She dodged their slow, powerful strikes, shattering their energy pikes with telekinetic force. She melted their golden masks with blasts of fire, revealing nothing but shimmering energy beneath. She fought her way through corridor after corridor, a lavender comet, leaving a trail of broken golden bodies in her wake, following the hum of the ship's power core. Finally, she reached it, the heart of the ship, a colossal chamber housing a pulsating, sun-bright orb of pure energy. This was the source of their power. Drained, bleeding but unbroken, Kelvin gathered the last of her strength. She poured all her rage, all her love for her world, into one final, cataclysmic spell. A beam of pure lavender magic shot from her, striking the core. The orb cracked, and as the ship began to tear itself apart around her, the amethyst bracelet on her wrist flared, enveloping her in a protective, diamond-hard shield.